the television ratings have been coming in for the March Madness for men's basketball tournament, and they have been strong. Now we know that the TV networks have like little tricky ways of saying, this is the best rating ever, best rating for from 3:05 to 3:10 p.m. in 23 years. They trick stuff up. They include this, they include that, but undoubtedly these TV ratings are good. I don't know if they're the greatest ever or not, but you had an average of, and I don't even know what this means, but an average of 8.5 million people watching Thursday. That was supposedly the most watched since 2015. You had the 8.3 on Friday is the most watched ever on a Friday. The most watched on a Saturday, 10.3 million. And so the first 3 days were all records. I'm not sure what CBS had on Sunday, but I'm guessing it's not too much down. We had some massive games. The Michigan State, North Carolina second round game did a 10.3 million viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an SEC football championship game.
Yeah, it's a big number.
That's a huge number.
Gonzaga, Kansas. Before that did 8.3 million. Those are all, so they were in their own kind of windows. Although I think there was some competition to State and UNC late. Purdue, Utah State did 8. I mean, these are really good TV numbers for basketball. And you kind of just go down. Oakland versus Kentucky first round game did 6.2 million. So that's, and I don't know, these are averages. I don't know how they figure it all out. Does not count I was watching Michigan State and North Carolina in a friend's basement. Like, he's got a big setup down there. I mean, there's 25 people. I don't even know how they can count March Madness ratings in particular, but the ratings have been phenomenal. And yet we walked into this tournament hearing, and we all agreed, there's not a huge lottery pick coming that everyone wants to watch, right? That's going to drag some NBA interest. This would be the same bit, but there aren't these like mega exciting players like Zion Williamson and Ja Morant, right? This is not the year of blue bloods. Carolina and Duke are still in this thing, but the top seeds are generally good programs, but not Houston, Purdue, UConn. Those, obviously UConn's more successful than all these blue bloods anymore, but they don't have that fan base, so it's not. You're not just riding off of that. Ohio State's not in it. Michigan, those teams aren't even necessarily, although they've had great success, they bring huge fan bases. Not there. And then there's the bit where there is increased competition from the women's side. No, the women's basketball tournament is not bigger than the men's basketball tournament and is far from it, but it is increasingly popular. And, you could be peeling off 100,000 viewers there, 250,000 viewers there, whatever. Caitlin Clark's game did 3.2 million on Saturday, I think it was. Her first round game against Holy Cross.
And won the second one like 4.9?
Yeah, 4.9 on Monday night. Now that got close, but that was not competing with the men's tournament.
Yeah, wasn't competing with anything. No.
Right, wasn't competing, but there it was. Let me find this Caitlin Clark. Iowa. It's a team game. My team is on the floor.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. It was a decent. Some of those people might have chose to watch Caitlin Clark instead. So whatever. I don't think the audiences are exclusive. So we come in with all these kind of headwinds, and some of them are temporary, right? Next year you're going to have Flag at Duke, and some of these guys maybe everyone's going to want to watch. But we produce big numbers. So why is what I'm wondering. Gambling clearly is a big part of this. Sports wagering is a big part of this, but there was sports wagering in many locations last year. Is that helping? Is the more acceptance of it, or more people get? I don't know. I got no idea. So I turned to my experts here. Well, I don't have any, but I got you guys.
Yeah.
Pat, what do you think? Why is the rating so good for this event when we were told they would not be so good? I guess I thought they'd be good, but not. I didn't think they'd be like, you take down 10% or something. Hey, makes sense. Go ahead. I talked enough.
I do not work for Nielsen Research, so we'll state that off the top. But for one thing, the tournament's always watched, no matter what people say. And maybe the most ill-informed hot take of last week from some people is more people are going to watch the women's tournament than the men's. Completely not true. A lot of people are watching both, which is great. And I've watched plenty of both, and I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think whether it's just the fact that the games have been quite compelling. I mean, there was a lot of upsets that first day, second day. We got plenty of those, first day especially. And then you settled into more brand names playing brand names. I mean, Texas versus Tennessee is two big fan bases going at each other. Kansas playing in the second round certainly is good for business. Playing Gonzaga, while Gonzaga is a small school in terms of alumni base, a lot of people know them and watch them at this time of year. 4 ACC teams advancing. There's brand names people can get attached to, and I do think there are some storylines that people are interested in. I think UConn going for a repeat. There's a lot of people in the Northeast that are UConn fans and interested in UConn. Purdue, Zach Edey has become like a lightning rod. You either really like him or you're outraged at what he gets away with or whatever. The 7'4" guy who's the 2-time National Player of the Year, people are taking sides on him. And I think that's helped to a degree. There's been a lot of scoring. We got Virginia out of the tournament on the first night. That was a good thing. And we've seen some really high-octane offense since then. A bunch of teams scoring 100 points, going up and down the floor. So I don't have this is why, but I think you can concoct a number of ideas. There may be some of it. I don't know what the weather was like in parts of America over the weekend, but if the weather was bad, people stay in and watch more TV. It could be as simple as that. But people did watch, and I think they were rewarded with a pretty entertaining product for 4 days.
Dan, I have a number for you. 2.7 billion. That's the amount of money that was projected to be bet on the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. I think that's a big reason why, as you mentioned, I think sports betting has increased viewership and driven it. But I think with any sporting event that has massive implications, especially like playoff, type of atmosphere, I think people just love to watch. I mean, people love to watch elimination games because of the what's on the line. I think that drives a lot of viewerships to the women and the men in any playoff or postseason. Shoot, we see it in Women's College World Series stuff. I mean, I think people just like when the stakes are really high, and so I think that's why all those playoff events, will drive viewership. We talk about betting in the almost $3 billion that was supposed to be bet last weekend. Just some news as we're talking on the pod about betting, which I didn't realize this, but the NCAA is encouraging states to prohibit prop bets. And they've been doing it apparently for a while. They've gotten a few states, Ohio, Vermont, Maryland, to ban prop bets, and they're trying to encourage more before this next slew of games. They're trying to encourage more states to ban all prop betting because of harassment and things like that athletes are getting. So kind of an aside there, but a little bit interesting as we head into the next weekend.
Yeah, I real quick want to follow up on the prop bet stuff. All you have to do to just get people to take those off the board is send them the Jonte Porter stuff and say, this is happening at the NBA level. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I did hear some third-hand talk, some of the stuff that has come at the scrubs at the end of the bench for some schools that get in games, and whether they make or miss shots can affect the point spread at the end of a game, who covers, and the amount of abuse those guys are taking. That is not good. If, some kid gets his 2 minutes of NCAA tournament action and misses a layup and the team you bet on didn't cover, and all of a sudden you decide it's time to heap abuse on that kid, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's completely unfair, ridiculous, and there are definitely some psychopaths that would do that, or hold the ball. No, I'm going to jack a shot up there and miss it, and then the other guy comes down and hits it. You just ran out the clock. Terrible. No place for it. Do not gamble that way. This is why gambling on something like the NCAA basketball tournament is, especially a high point spread, is crazy. We've done the high point spread, and they're crazy all the time. Like, honestly, go ahead and do it if you want. But I've done the high point spread before in the Race for the Case. Well, I think I did a Hawaii Michigan game, and basically it was like 60 something, and then like Michigan had one. I think they botched a punt or something, and because of that, like, it just takes one thing.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And you can literally point to the one play that cost you because the point spread's so big. That is a dark side. If you don't know the Jonte Porter story, it's really interesting. He has plays for the Raptors, and he was betting. Well, they're investigating some allegations and some possibilities. Let's not use Jonte's name. Let's just say it was another guy. But I don't want, because I haven't researched the story enough. But basically, somebody in the NBA may have been having some bets placed on a prop and saying he wouldn't get it, right? So it's like, if Pat's playing in the NBA, Pat Forde plus or minus 3 threes. Well, it's pretty easy for you to only hit 2. You just don't take a third.
Don't take it. Yeah.
You make sure you miss, or you get a sprained ankle, right, or something.
Yeah. It's a case of the certain player under investigation. You take yourself out of the game and don't come back with some malady.
Mystery thing. But these bets were like $10K, which was baffling to people, because it's like, dude, you're in the NBA. Do not mess your NBA career up.
Yeah, what was his NBA contract?
Well, whatever. Millions of dollars, yeah.
Right, so $10K, that's crazy. I think people do things like that just for the rush.
Actually, he was making $415,000 this year.
Yeah,
but
he's like on a two-way deal or
actually,
something.
$10K is a pretty nice chunk.
Okay, yeah, $10K is not bad then, yeah.
But guess what he'll be making next year if this is true?
0.
Yeah, that's right.
So he'll make ever again in
Turkish
the NBA.
league. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, don't do it. But you can see where this would be completely enticing for players too. Now, these are elimination games, not, I think it was the March 20th game against the Kings is under the old Raptor King clash on March 20th. Who among us doesn't remember that one? Oh, it was a glorious night. Kings Raptors. Anyway, this is why our ratings are so high.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think the gambling is huge. I also think this is a side one I just kind of thought of, but like, the one beauty of college athletics is it does really well with young people, college kids particularly, and then recently after. And then I think sometimes fans fade away from it, but like early 20s, and those are big gamblers. They're at my gambling 10K. I watch like the coverage by Barstool, which is, very popular at that group. It is all about the gambling. They're just sitting there screaming about their bets all the time. But and so that's not traditional, button down, let's get guys in suits behind a desk on a CBS thing. But that's very effective in bringing people in on this too. So I think that the gambling there's certainly a sinister side to it and a disappointing side, but it also can create a lot of excitement. Even if you're not the people gambling, you just want to watch Dave Portnoy lose money or something, or win money, whatever you want to do.
Speaking of just this topic, I don't think we even discussed it, but I think it happened earlier this week or last week. Did you guys see Reese Davis was, I think, hosting a betting segment on ESPN, and whoever he was talking to, a betting expert, I don't remember who it was, but she said she was going through all these bets, right, that you could make and all these different plays. And I think he said something like, what you're talking about doesn't sound like betting. It sounds like risk-free investment. And I obviously with ESPN's involvement with ESPN Bet and all that, he took a little flack for that. I don't think we'll be hearing anything like that again come out of his mouth. But you got to be careful with those things for sure.
Please, I mean,
Dan,
come
what
on.
you got there, Dan?
Really? He got flack for that?
You got a little flack.
It's a joke.
Risk-free investment, Dan.
Okay, so really, there was somebody was 28 minutes into a segment on gambling on ESPN and heard Reese Davis say it's risk-free investment and actually believed that betting on sports is a risk-free investment.
Ran to the window.
Right, yeah. and bet his entire mortgage on it. Reese Davis said, I mean, come on.
These are the people that end up suing because there's not enough strawberry in the Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, exactly. Okay? Free Reese Davis, okay? Come on now. Like, at some point, people have to have, like, some responsibility for their own actions. Clearly, betting on sports. There's nobody who thinks betting on sports is risk-free investment. It's impossible because I don't care. You're in kindergarten and you bet, the next day's, half a ham sandwich or whatever on the Super Bowl and you lose your sandwich. I mean, come on. Unfair. That's a joke.
Do we have kindergartners betting their ham sandwiches on the Super Bowl?
It did in my school.
We might need to look into this.
It did in my school. It was tough. It was a tough school. Our school colors were black and blue.
And to fight your way on the bus and fight your way off.
That's right. Yep. We were gambling on everything. Dice games on the bus. No. I mean, come on. All right. Anyway, aside, somebody was a little sensitive on that one. Okay. I didn't know if that's the story. All right. So I don't know what else to say, but I think the ratings will be even better, will remain really good because the one downside to like non-traditional upstarts getting deep in the tournament is they don't have the fan base that generates. Yeah. It's not a downside to me because I'm not a television executive, and based on the gazillion ads that are running in these games and these 14-minute TV timeouts followed by 12 seconds of action and then a foul and 14 more minute TV time. I'm not worried about CBS, but
the ratings are going to be great going forward too.
Yes, that's what I mean. You get a George Mason in there. You get a whatever, somebody in the Final Four. FAU does not have the fan base that would the built-in fan base from last year that you would get it'd be certainly a North Carolina, but like you said, even if it's a, Purdue or anybody else that's in this thing. So I think we're going to have a great weekend of action, and the TV people will be happy, and people will keep gambling. Leave the players alone, please.
Yeah. I'm going to, real quick, I will go through. All right, UConn, big fan base going for a repeat. They're absolutely watching. San Diego State, I was shocked how many of their fans showed up at the Final Four last year. They got a good fan base. They're watching. Illinois, really hungry. Hadn't been to this level in a long time. They're watching. Iowa State, great fan base. They're watching. North Carolina, huge fan base. Alabama, big fan base. Clemson, big fan base. Arizona, big fan base. Houston, they've rallied around that team. Duke is Duke. North Carolina State, they're hungry. Their fans are hungry. Marquette hadn't been this far since 2013. Purdue, massive fan base, dying to win. Gonzaga, brand name. Creighton, they put a lot of people in a 15,000-seat arena. Tennessee, 20,000-seat arena. Going to be a lot of people in attendance and a lot of people watching.
Yeah. Oh, they sold like 97% of tickets in the first two rounds.
They did, yeah. I mean, I was in Indy, and it was absolutely Mackey South. It was just deafening Purdue crowd.
So, anyway,